How will we know when you're in trouble, when you're not okay?
If I say, I'm just going to chill alone at home tonight. And part two, the other thing, is if I ever say I'm cured.
We begin with breaking news. Friends star Matthew Perry has died. Law enforcement sources tell the LA Times the actor was found dead at his home in LA today, where it appears he drowned in a hot tub. According to the LA Times, no foul play is involved.
We weren't equipped. We weren't to deal with it. You know, nobody had ever dealt with that. And, you know, the idea of even losing it.
23, rescue 23, EMS 9. Engine 23, rescue 23, EMS 9, all on radio. Respond to the drowning. Process to search few tracks.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this. Today we will be talking about the life of Matthew Perry. For anyone who doesn't know who Matthew Perry is, his most iconic role was playing Chandler Bing in Friends. He was also in multiple TV shows and films. We will be talking about the work of Matthew Perry whilst also talking about his life and his unfortunate death. So let's get into today's video. Matthew Langford Perry was born on August 19th, 1969. He was born in Williamstown, Massachusetts. Matthew Perry was half Canadian and half American, as his mum was from Canada and his father was from America. His mother, Susanna Marie Morrison, worked as a Canadian journalist and was press secretary to Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau. His father was John Bennett Perry, who is an American actor and former model. Matthew's parents separated when he was just 1 year old. Matthew grew up in Ottawa, Ontario. Matthew studied at Rockcliffe Park Public School and Ashbury College. When Matthew was young, he was actually quite a troubled child. He started misbehaving at school from a very young age, and by the age of 10, he was smoking. He would also steal money, and even though he was very bright as a child, he didn't much care for the school system, and as a consequence, his grades suffered. He was also a bit of a bully, and crazy story, he actually bullied who is now the Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. He didn't just bully him though, it was said that he actually beat him up. Matthew attended a boarding school, and I think this allowed him to be a bit more reckless in his school life. Because his parents weren't there to immediately discipline him, I think he felt that he could be a bit more mischievous than he would if he was at a public school. And this stemmed into his teenage years, because by the time he was 14, he was drinking, and by the time he was 18, he was drinking every single day. Matthew was a fantastic tennis player, and there was really high hopes of him becoming a professional. But when he moved from Ottawa to Los Angeles to go and live with his dad, the competition was a lot higher, and Matthew didn't feel that he could rise up to the level of his competitors. Because of this, Matthew decided to venture down a new avenue, acting. He studied acting from the age of 15 in Buckley School, Sherman Oaks in Los Angeles. He also took improv classes, which I think was key to his success as an actor later on. When he moved to Los Angeles, he immediately started auditioning for different roles. He also did not mind what roles he was auditioning for, because he applied to pretty much anything and everything. And because Matthew was so skilled, he actually landed quite a few parts on multiple different shows. He landed guest parts on Not Necessarily the News, Charles in Charge, and Silver Spoons. And between the years of 1987 and 1988, he landed the role as Chaz Russell on the show Second Chance. Second Chance would actually be renamed later on to Boys Will Be Boys. He also had his film debut in A Night in the Life of Jimmy Reardon in 1988. And just before his iconic role in Friends, he featured in the TV show Growing Pains in a 3-episode arc. Interestingly, when Friends were casting for the main roles of their characters, Matthew Perry was actually auditioning for another show. This show was a drama called LAX 2194. But LAX 2194's pilot episode actually fell through, so Matt then decided that he would go and read lines for the character of Chandler Bing in Friends, and he absolutely aced this audition.
Chandler Bing.
Do you know me, or are you just really good at this game?
He landed the role and became the youngest cast member at just 24 years old. Matthew Perry had a perfectionist and obsessive personality. This would bode incredibly well for him as an actor, as he was entirely dedicated to perfecting his lines and comedic timing. Matthew Perry was also noted to have spent hours perfecting his answering machine message. And we all know how the next part of this story goes. Friends, which was originally titled 6 of 1, became hugely successful. It would be shown weekly and people would watch it religiously. It gained such a huge fan base in such a short amount of time, and by the end of season 1, all the main actors were huge stars. It was 1996 when Friends first aired, and the TV show ran for 10 seasons right up until 2004. With huge success comes great pressure. Matthew Perry had been struggling with being addicted to alcohol from a young age, and when you're famous, everything comes to you a lot easier. People are waiting on you hand and foot, and everything that you want can be acquired. Even when on set for Friends, Matthew Perry would be drinking, and he truly thought that he was hiding his alcoholism really well. But there was a moment in which Jennifer Aniston took him to one side and said that she could smell the alcohol on his breath. He said in that moment he truly thought he was hiding his addiction really well, but he didn't realise that the entire cast and film production behind Friends could actively smell the alcohol on him. Between seasons 2 and 3 of Friends, Matthew Perry was filming for When Fools Rush In. Whilst he was away filming, he actually had a jet ski accident, and when he was in hospital, they prescribed him Vicodin. Vicodin is a pain medication which is formed of the combination of 2 drugs, paracetamol and hydrocodone. Hydrocodone is part of the opioid family and can be very addictive. The other issue of being prescribed hydrocodone is that for people that have an alcohol addiction, it can actually cause them to drink a lot heavier. And in Matthew's case, this is exactly what happened. He mentions in his memoir, Friends, Lovers and the Big Terrible Thing, that at one point he was on 55 Vicodins a day. He also said that he would make excuses just so he was able to take one. He would fake migraines or other forms of pain just so he could obtain Vicodin. He would also speak to multiple doctors about multiple MRIs just so he could obtain the drug. And in 1997, Matthew Perry would enter rehab for the first time. He spent 28 days in rehab before coming back to film the next season of Friends. You will notice that in different seasons, he changes so much in his appearance. It's really heartbreaking because I think in one of the seasons, I think it's season 7, I could be wrong, and if I am wrong, I'll put that on the screen. But in one of those seasons, he's so skinny, and you just know that that is when he was suffering the most. And I think it's extra heartbreaking because although all the characters of Friends were funny, he was the funny one. And it's heartbreaking that he was suffering so much and then portraying this really happy-go-lucky character. This is quite well known, but Matthew Perry refused to rewatch Friends because he would see it as a timeline of his illness. At his smallest, he weighed 128 pounds, which I had to convert because I'm English, but that is only 9 stone 14 pounds. He was also 6 foot, so this is incredibly underweight. In a 2022 interview, he was asked to watch clips of Friends, and whilst he was watching the clips of himself, he was visibly breaking down. He didn't manage to say too much, but what he did say, and I'll quote now, was, "When I'm carrying weight, it's alcohol. When I'm skinny, it's pills. When I have a goatee, it's lots of pills. I feel sorry for that guy. He's going through too much. And it's me. I remember that. And I didn't understand what was going on." In nature, when a penguin is injured, the other penguins group around it and prop it up until it's better. That's what my co-stars on Friends did for me. In the year 2000, Matthew Perry was hospitalised due to pancreatitis. His appearance would yet again dramatically change because of his suffering due to this disease. He got this disease due to heavy drinking, and in 2001, he admitted he needed help and actively called out for it. He was filming for a film called Serving Sarah, and he asked production to pause filming whilst he sought out help. He said the following: "Everything's clear for one split second. I realised I've got to go save myself. I got on the phone and called the people who were willing to help me." It is said that Matthew Perry spent $9 million on 14 different surgeries and 15 different rehab admissions. The surgeries and rehab were all related to his alcohol and substance addictions. He spent 2.5 months in a private rehab facility, and from here he seemed to be on the road to recovery. He would focus on sobriety, and he would actively mention that if anyone else was struggling, they could go to him for help. He also had plans to create a huge wellness centre for those struggling or needing help, which I don't think actually ever got to the production stages, but I really hope in his memory there will be some kind of a Matthew Perry Foundation or something similar, so that the good work that he wanted to do when he was alive still happens. He did open up Perry House in 2013, which was a sober living home for men. It was located in Malibu, and the idea of it was to help those in recovery ease back into their normal lives. In 2018, Matthew Perry was again hospitalized, but this time not for any alcohol abuse or any substance abuse. In this case, his colon exploded. He was put into an induced coma for 2 weeks, and his friends and family were told that there was a 2% chance that he would survive. He was placed on a machine that pumped his blood externally so that his lungs and his heart could rest, and that would give him the best chance of survival. And whilst he did miraculously survive, there was 4 other patients in the hospital on the same machine for the same issues, and they all unfortunately passed away. Like I say, Matthew Perry had a 2% chance of survival, so it really was a true miracle that he survived. Matthew Perry had several girlfriends, including Yasmin Bleeth, Julia Roberts, Lizzie Kaplan, and he was engaged to Molly Hurwitz. Matthew and Molly never got married, as their engagement actually ended in 2021. Matthew said that he would always hurt his own relationships because he would always feel that he wasn't good enough for his partner. He would get inside his own head, and he would believe that because he wasn't good enough for his partners, they were going to leave anyway. So because of his anxiety and his poor sense of self-worth, he ended up breaking up the relationships. He did try online dating, but he felt really silly and quickly removed himself from the platforms that he was on. At one point or another, Matthew actually had feelings for all of his female co-stars. So much so that he once actually asked Jennifer Aniston out on a date, but she said to him that she would rather they just stayed friends. He stated on his crushes of the female co-stars who couldn't fancy them because they were all equally so beautiful. Off-screen, the main 6 actors of Friends were incredibly close. If it can be possible, they were probably closer off-screen than they were on-screen. The 6 of them became like a family. And I truly believe, because he had such a beautiful support network, this is why Matthew Perry lived for so long. And Matthew Perry didn't live as long as he absolutely should have done. But I think had he have not had such a wonderful support network and such great friends, I worry that at different points of his early life, there could have been a true tragedy. In the reunion, Matthew Perry also said that he cried the most because in that moment he truly understood that he was so grateful for everything that had happened and everything that he had at that moment. By 2002, Matthew Perry and his co-stars were making $1 million per episode. He featured and starred in multiple films and TV shows, including Scrubs, Ally McBeal, Who's the Boss, Birds of America, The West Wing, The Whole Nine Yards, 17 Again, and more. He was nominated for 34 awards and even a Golden Globe. He won 6 awards for his acting, including a TV Guide Award in the year 2000. In 2021, he was a part of the Friends reunion, and in 2022, he released his memoir. Matthew Perry passed away on the 28th of October 2023 due to what is currently declared as drowning in his jacuzzi at home. The official report is not yet announced, so the reason as to why he drowned is not yet known. Matthew Perry held agnostic beliefs, stating that he believed in an unspecified higher power which he called God. He said that he had a very close relationship with God, and he called himself a seeker. Matthew Perry did have a dog called Alfred, and Alfred is now going to be adopted by his ex-fiancée. Words of adoration have poured out for Matthew Perry from his friends, his family, and his colleagues. He was a well-known and very loved man, not just for his acting abilities, but for how he was off-screen, being such a truly kind and funny person. When I die, I don't want friends to be the first thing that's mentioned. I want helping people to be the first thing that's mentioned. I think Matthew Perry's story has and will continue to help more people. I think that from this, in honour of Matthew Perry and all the good work that he wanted to do, there will be something, which I don't know why I keep saying Matthew Perry Foundation, because I have no idea on any sort of name, but I truly believe there will be a place for people to go and get help just like he wanted. I think that the other cast members in Friends will be ambassadors for this place, and they will allow the good work of Matthew Perry to continue even though he is no longer here. And I hope that does happen, because he did say, as I've mentioned just before this, that he really wants people to discuss all the times that he helped people more than his role of Chandler Bing in Friends. And I really hope this happens, because Friends is amazing. His other films are amazing. One of my favourite films is 17 Again. I just think it's a really lovely little film. But his acting is phenomenal in everything that he's in. And he's a wonderful person. I don't know him, but it has been said by everyone that did know him just how wonderful he was. On top of all of that, what he wanted to leave behind was how much he had helped others. So I hope that something is established in his honour, in his memory, and I hope it continues to save so many lives, because that is what he wanted. There's a very quick video from me. I felt like I had to do a video on Matthew Perry. I had only watched Friends for the first time last year. I was one of those people that everyone went on about it and they were saying how good it was, and honestly that put me off watching it more. Friends hasn't aged fantastically. There's homophobia, there's sexism, there's racism, there's a lot of things in there that are just not okay now. But Friends on a whole is a really nice little easy program to watch, and what you can't say about it is that it wasn't phenomenally written and acted. All of the actors in that show are amazing at what they do. Their timing is hilarious. And for me, my favourite character was Chandler Bing. When I heard the news that Matthew Perry had passed away, I was actually away for a friend's wedding in a hotel, and I just started sobbing. And I don't know why, because I'm not Matthew Perry's biggest fan. And like I say, I only watched Friends last year, so it doesn't have any of that true impact on me. But I think it's because I know that he struggled for so long and his life was taken from him far too soon. If it does come out that it's because of alcohol, then I could probably believe it. But if that is the case, then that's even more reason for something to happen in terms of an establishment to help more people with their addictions. And I really hope something positive comes out of such a negative situation. But for now, that's all from me. If you like this type of content, please do feel free to subscribe. Please like the video so that other people can find my channel and other videos of this same content. And I do have a Patreon, which I'll link below. I'm also going to put Matthew Perry's memoir below, a link from like Amazon or something similar, because if that money can go to his family, then fantastic. And also, it's a wonderful read. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Please remember to take care of yourselves. And for now, that is all from me. Bye-bye for now.